On a warm summer morning in the small town of Riverbend, the world was waking up to the soft, golden promise of a new day. The streets hummed with the rhythm of traffic, and the sidewalks bustled with people rushing toward their futures. But amidst the noise and the light, tucked away in the shadows of the diner's back door, sat a boy named Toby. To the passers-by, he was invisible, just part of the scenery, a smudge on the landscape they chose not to see. But Toby wasn't waiting for a bus, and he wasn't resting from play. He was waiting because hunger has a cruel way of forcing a routine upon a child. His ribs pressed faintly against a shirt that had seen too many days without water, and his hands, small and calloused, bore the weight of a life no 9-year-old should ever have to carry. He sat on the cold concrete, making himself as small as possible, terrified that if he took up too much space, the world might decide to chase him away. Inside the diner, Clara, the owner, watched him through the steam of the kitchen window. She had seen him too many times to pretend he wasn't there. Clara's diner barely made enough money to keep the lights on, but her heart was infinitely larger than her wallet. Every morning, like clockwork, she packed a plate, eggs, toast, a little fruit, and slipped out the back door. She didn't make a scene. She simply placed the food beside him like an offering to a frightened bird and stepped back. Toby would lift his tired eyes, whisper a thank you that the wind almost carried away, and eat with the desperation of someone who didn't know if this meal would be his last. Before we continue, if you believe in second chances and the power of kindness, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And tell us in the comments where you're watching from. We love reading your stories. For a long time, it seemed the universe had forgotten Toby Marsh. His mother was a memory, and his father was a ghost in his own home, lost to demons that drowned out his son's needs. So the diner became Toby's shelter. Not physically, he never dared to go inside, but emotionally. The smell of frying onions and brewing coffee was the closest thing to home he had. Then came the day the shadows shifted. A sleek black SUV pulled up to the curb, a stark contrast to the worn-out pavement of Riverbend. The man who stepped out was Harrison Vale. He was a titan of industry, a young millionaire who had built an empire in the city. But today, he wasn't a businessman. He was a man looking for ghosts. He had grown up on these streets, poor and hungry, before clawing his way to the top. He walked into Clara's diner wearing simple clothes, but carrying an air of quiet power. He sat by the window, looking for a memory of his mother. Instead, he found a mirror. Through the glass, Harrison saw Toby. The boy was rinsing metal bowls from a scrapyard in a bucket of murky water, trying to earn a few cents. His face was streaked with dirt, but his eyes, pale blue and exhausted, held a terrifying mixture of hunger and hope. It hit Harrison like a physical blow. He wasn't looking at a stranger. He was looking at himself 20 years ago. He remembered the ache of an empty stomach. He remembered the shame of shoes that didn't fit. He watched as Clara stepped out with the plate of food. He saw the light return to Toby's eyes, that fragile gratitude that only the suffering truly understand. Harrison felt something fracture inside his chest. He couldn't just finish his lunch. He couldn't just leave. He walked outside and approached Clara. She looked nervous, wiping her hands on her apron, expecting a complaint. But Harrison only asked about the boy. He asked with a gentleness that disarmed her. Clara told him everything, the neglect, the struggle, the solitude. Harrison listened, his gaze never leaving the boy who was scrubbing metal bowls as if his survival depended on it. Later, Harrison approached Toby. The boy flinched. He was used to being told to move along, but Harrison didn't offer pity, and he didn't offer money. He simply asked if he could walk with him. As they moved through the crumbling neighborhood, Harrison saw the broken fences and the emptiness of Toby's world. It was a world Harrison had escaped, but one he had never truly left behind. That night, Harrison made a vow. He used his resources, his lawyers, and his influence not to build another company, but to rebuild a life. He worked with the authorities to get Toby's father the help he needed, and he petitioned to become Toby's guardian. It wasn't easy. There were mountains of paperwork and nights where Toby woke up screaming from nightmares, terrified that this new safety was just a dream. But Harrison stayed. He showed up every single day. A year later, the summer sun cast that same golden light over Riverbend. But this time, Toby wasn't by the back door. He was sitting at the counter, right next to Harrison. He was wearing clean clothes, his cheeks were full, and he was laughing as syrup dripped down a stack of pancakes. He was no longer invisible. He was seen. He was loved. Harrison Vale had returned to Riverbend looking for his past. But in saving a boy who had been forgotten by the world, he found his future. It reminds us that success isn't measured by what we accumulate, but by who we lift up. Sometimes, the greatest thing you can do with your power is to empower someone else. If you were in Harrison's shoes, would you have stopped, or would you have kept driving? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.